entire weekend, but I'm digging it today, especially after anything we have to say about how you guys fought.
I mean, awesome. I mean, as far as the resiliency and the no give in factor, I think was awesome. All weekend really for our guys, which makes me happy. That's like I say, you're sometimes going to have ugly games like today, but it's better to be ugly and on top when you win than to come out on the losing end. But yeah, our guys battled every inning that seemed like of every game this series, and on a crazy day where you knew it was going to be one of those days here at Muni with gale force winds blowing out, and I mean, it's just a matter of who was going to take the last punch and who was going to hit last. Kind of seemed like who was going to win this one, but we got up, we got down, we got up, we got down, and gave up leads and came back and took leads, gave them up, and they just kept on going. So I'm happy with the will to continue to fight. That was an impressive weekend. All 27 innings this weekend, or 29 innings, I guess.
Well, the wins obviously don't like you're talking, the ball goes out here, and from a pitching standpoint, though, I mean, guys obviously aren't making bad pitches. Guys are getting hits. What's the challenge in talking to the pitchers, even just between innings, to kind of keep them in the keel?
It's challenge. You just got to tell them, try. The biggest thing in games like this is that outs are worth their weight in gold, so we can't give up extra outs, and we did a couple of those today. And you can't give up free bases. You're going to give up runs, especially in a day like today. It's going to happen. Guys are going to get fisted and hit the ball at the ballpark, and I don't know how many balls off the end or fisted that got out today on both sides. But the key to those type of games, in my opinion, is just not giving up extra outs defensively and not putting on free bases, from hit by batters or base on balls. And we, still had too many of those today again. But at the end of the day, I get it. Pitchers are maybe a little leery to throw to contact based on the elements, but we got to be better than that and continue to attack the zone.
We'll talk about resiliency and some guys having approaches or changing adjustments game by game or within a game. Jacob Tobias today, struggling to start, but that big single tied up, in the final frame. What can you talk about? His offense performance to be able to get that big hit after such a struggling performance compared to the rest of the offense that was going crazy?
I'll have to watch it on video, but it sounded like he had a great hit. So happy that he got a big hit in a key situation there. Everybody was swinging the bats pretty well and finding a lot of holes today, and then you're that one guy that's not finding the hole. It kind of can be discouraging or whatever, but Toby's picked us up so many times throughout this year and his career that you just know it's a matter of time before he comes up with a big knock, and couldn't have come at a better time there in the eighth. So good for him. I was happy for him.
What did you make of Fitzpatrick and Schieffer coming in at the end? Obviously, he had the home run, but outside of that, they really helped you get to the finish line there in a day where it just was not going the pitcher's way.
I think Fitzy's performance was kind of the under the radar, great job. And we all know about the homer and the ensuing discussion after that. But I thought Fitzy was throwing the ball outstanding, and it was kind of giving us a chance to breathe there for a second. And we were starting to run out of arms, going, okay, if we go 1-1-1, we're about there at the end. And Fitzy was able to give us, 2+ there, and was throwing the ball really good, I thought. And it was unfortunate. I haven't looked at the video, but all indications thought it was a pretty good pitch, clearly.
Take us through the inning exchange and what you can tell us. What made you feel in the moment?
Just this type of game, man, like that, man, every pitch matters. And if you get a guy makes a good pitch, that's, again, I don't know if it was ball or strike, so I could be completely wrong. And I'll have to go back and look at it and maybe eat crow if it is off the plate. But it certainly seemed like a good pitch. And against that kid who's torched us this weekend, you give him one more pitch, look what happens. 3-run homer, and all of a sudden there goes a lead, and these games are huge for us. So that was an intense moment. It was a buildup of emotions, maybe a little bit on my part, but on the same token, man, we got to have that pitch if it's a good pitch, and it certainly seemed like it. The guys the guys seemed like it. When I went out and talked to Fitzy, I only had about 2 seconds to talk to him before he was already out there. So clearly there was, on his part, I don't know what he was looking for. I'm not allowed to talk to my pitcher for a second or two, but he knew what was going on probably and wanted to continue that discussion, and I just told him he missed it, and he didn't think so. So, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to stand up for my players, and they all thought it was a pretty good pitch. So, end of the day, it is what it is. It's baseball. You can have disagreements in baseball. It's okay. And I had to hit the showers early. That's okay. But my the boys picked me up, and I'm happy for that.
Schiefer was saying that exact same thing. He wanted to, he and the team as a whole wanted to pick you up after you kind of helped him, pick them up in a little bit of a way. Talking on Friday about Murph and how he's been able to be a big guy with the Brewers right now and his aspect out there. How do you feel more like that of this group wanting to back you up? It shows the camaraderie of this team and it shows the backing of this tradition.
Well, it makes me happy. If that's how, if they looked at it that way, that they wanted to pick me up, I guess that makes me feel good. But at the same token, the most important part is I want those guys to know that I got their back. And there's times where guys come back and complain about balls and strikes, and it's, I'm not going to get tossed every time someone has a complaint, because I'd never finish a game if that were the case. But in that moment, in that situation, with our season situation, everything kind of seemed to be on the line right there. And I thought our kid executed a pretty dang good pitch. I'm going to stand up for him.
You talked about kind of everything this weekend, kind of felt like the season was on the line. I asked you the same question on Friday. I'll kind of ask you again to look back at the whole weekend, even in the loss where you battled back down 14-1 and made it a closer game at the end. How do you feel this weekend you represented the program as a team?
From a resiliency and a mentality standpoint, couldn't be better. I think the guys, hopefully they showed everybody that there's no quit, there's no give in this team. They're going to keep fighting, and from that, like I've said, you're going to have days where you don't play well, but you're still obligated to represent this program the right way. And sometimes all you can do is keep throwing haymakers and fighting, and that's what our guys did this weekend. Look at the scores. Were they pretty? No. I don't think anybody would say they're pretty, but from an offensive standpoint, they're pretty. But the fight that we showed, I think, top to bottom and in every game, I don't think there should be anybody complaining about that.
You mentioned earlier this year how hitting is contagious. Now, over the last week, I think you guys scored north of 70 runs in your 5 games this week. What's kind of clicking for the offense as opposed to, or does everyone kind of come together, kind of support that thing where hitting is contagious, or is that still
it's we're first things first. I'm not naive. We're hitting a pretty good ballpark right now with the elements that we have. Everybody knows at the end of the year the ball carries here very well when it starts warming up, and so the balls are going to fly a little bit more. You get away with a few more mistakes when you're swinging that you maybe not get away with earlier in the year. But on the same token, guys are squaring it up pretty significant amount too, and not taking anything away from the offensive production, because they are swinging the crap out of the sticks right now. It's been fun to watch. So their approaches have been great. They're on time for the fastballs. They're starting to lay off spin in the dirt, which has been our Achilles up until the last 3-4 weeks. At the end of the day, that's what we've been trying to preach all along, and they're getting it, and it's fun to watch. So also putting the game in motion, and guys executing that part of it and going first to thirds and keeping the merry-go-round going. That's just it's a lot fun. It's a lot more fun brand of baseball when you can put the game in motion and execute and have those type of things.
With the offense at times being able to, like you said, get away with some mistakes, and the opposite on the pitchers and lesser mistakes being able to be given up. Is there anything you guys have to push for these pitchers more, or anything they need to be able to emphasize in a ballpark like this that's getting balls flying out of here a little quicker?
I think, like I said, A is not to get discouraged and forget the numbers, right? Muni is just a different beast when it comes to being a pitcher. Don't look at the numbers, right? It's not, people are going to chirp about ERAs and all that type of stuff. Well, go ahead. Bring anybody in here to Muni, you're not gonna have a good ERA here. It is what it is. So the biggest thing is to just try to keep them confident. Like, don't look at the numbers, man. Just try to execute your pitches. Don't beat yourself, and we've tried to preach to our pitching staff, we don't have to be the best pitching staff in the country. We just got to be better than that pitching staff today. That's it. And today was probably the epitomizes that, right? Neither of us were very good on paper, but we were just a little bit better. Didn't give up as many runs. So in this type of, I guess we get later in the year like this, we have to, obviously I don't just want to make a habit of walking guys and giving up free bases or whatnot, but we have to be able to locate the fastball. And if guys beat us on well-located pitches, tip your hat. But let's not try to let's not beat ourselves, basically.
Coach, who are you planning to start on Tuesday against Arizona?
It's a great question. You got any ideas? The kid we didn't use this weekend was Halvey, and he was hot today to come in, and then Fitzy kind of started rolling a little bit, and I didn't want to mess with somebody that was having success, so I kept Fitzy in there and then went straight to Sheaf, and Halvey was going to back him up in case he got into trouble. But, Halvey would be an option. We're going to have to sit down and figure that out because after we've been bruised and battered a little bit this weekend, we're going to have to figure out who's hot and available and who's going to be effective.
A lot of guys got used multiple times this weekend. Where does the bullpen stand for Tuesday?
Again, great question. We're going to see how they bounce back tomorrow and ultimately probably play it by ear and see how they feel on Tuesday. It might just be one of those everybody gets an inning type days. We're kind of scuffling on a midweek starter currently. Thank God we're toward the end of this midweek stuff. I think this is our last one, right? So I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't know if Halvey would probably be the front runner. I got to talk to Sammy about that, but I would guess Halvey would probably be the front runner to start. And then we'll figure it out and try to piece it together from there.
Is there anybody that you threw Friday and today that you would feel comfortable throwing on Tuesday, or is that
I think it'll all just depend how they bounce back and how they feel tomorrow and ultimately Tuesday. Sheaf threw Friday and today. Fitzy did as well. Matt Teeting. So, all three of those guys are usually guys that bounce back pretty quick, that I could see at least giving us an inning maybe on Tuesday. So, again, we'll see how they bounce back.
You said earlier this weekend, you guys have finally taken ownership of the clubhouse in the way that you wanted. When did you start to notice that?
Probably after the Fullerton loss. It was pretty embarrassing. I think we had one more kind of final discussion as a full staff and team and kind of said it's up to you guys at this point. You guys start taking ownership. It's your team. As far as the product, that you guys are the ones that control how you play on the field and not me. And at the end of the day, I've told you all I can tell you, and I'm going to keep coaching you and loving on you and all that type of stuff. But it's your guys' clubhouse. You guys want that type of stuff you guys create your own energy and your own moxie in there, and they've done a great job since.
Ethan Mendoza at the start of this year was really impressive. This was a freshman. He hit the ball, and now the power's come on for him lately, and now in the big spot tonight, put you ahead with a 3-run homer. How do you just speak to his development and what he will do for this team?
I heard the swing was pretty good. The homer sounded like it was awesome. Would have loved to have seen it, but I'm just happy for him. He kind of went there in the middle part of the season. I think had a little bit of a lull. I think is like all freshmen do when they first playing at this level from high school. Is there's going to be that mid-season or late season, as we saw last year, kind of peak and plateau and then drop off a little bit. And I think he's kind of got a second wind a little bit and is starting to adjust to the rigors of playing every day and being in there every day and the mental demands that it takes to play every day. So, but happy with how he's been producing and contributing to a lineup that's it's just one more good bat in that lineup that makes me smile and just go, okay, if we can put a tough out at every one of those 9 spots, then we'll make those guys work really hard to get through a game against us, and he's done a good job.
You could point to anybody really in that lineup today, whether it be Mendoza, Campos, but McLean specifically went 5 for 5 today. What can you talk about his performance and really this entire series as a whole? Obviously, you're emotional after the Friday night win and the way he kind of overcame his struggles in the ninth inning to walk it off. Is this the kind of hitter that you expect to see from him on a regular basis, or is he just kind of getting ramped up now?
I told you he was close. That's the Nick McLean we know. So he's starting to get hot and starting to feel it and starting to stay in his legs and his swing, and that's the kid we've kind of been waiting for, or knew that it was coming, but now it's starting to come to fruition, and it's when that kid gets rolling, he can carry us. So hopefully that's just the start of it.
And is that the guy who's just kind of gone in there to not think about it that much and just hit the bat? That's kind of been his approach as to come back into this.
I think that walk-off homer really did a lot for the psyche. I mean, as it would anybody, right? It just kind of gives you that boost, like, I came through and helped our team win, and with a big, huge hit there. And I think sometimes that just throws the weight off your shoulders and lets you just go relax and play. So that might have been the big hit that he just kind of needed to relax, trust himself, and say, okay, I can do this. And blink your eyes, he's already up to 300 basically right now. So he's going to keep going, I think.
Arizona's been winning a lot of games since the last time you guys played, and one of their outfielders earlier today, I think it was Brendan Summerhill, said they want to beat you by 100 and not give up a single run. As I add to the passion of this rivalry, obviously, what does it mean to you to get in the practice then, and with them coming in even more motivated now?
Good luck, kid. Bring it. Let's go. And we ain't going to back down from anybody. So that's good that they're that confident, so are we. So this will be a fun one.
You guys are hot. They had a pretty good weekend. How fun is this environment going to be on Tuesday night?
I would anticipate it'll be a pretty good one. So I'm excited for it. I know our guys are excited for it. There's obviously the history. Don't need to bring that up, but it'll be a fun one. I think our guys will be ready to go.
Do you use that kind of comment as a bulletin board material, or do you just kind of?
There's been enough stuff happen in this series that's bulletin board material. So that's just whatever. Go ahead. You can say what you want to say. We'll be ready to play. And at the end of the day, we want to beat them by 100 as well. So, and if we get the opportunity, we won't stop.
There was a report earlier this weekend that the NCAA is considering taking out the 11.7 scholarship limit for each program. As many scholarships as roster spots. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to comment on that, if you heard about that, or how that would impact this program.
I have heard rumblings and rumors of it. I'm not, when it happens, then I'll get excited, I guess. But I think it'll certainly impact a lot of things. Not only our sport, but probably a bunch of other sports too. But as far as our program is concerned, I mean, I think there would be a lot of happy young men in there, and their families would be extremely happy that they would be. If I'm understanding it correctly, it's kind of all or nothing, right? Or basically everybody's on scholarship. So I think that would make for a lot of happy families that are here, that wouldn't have to come out of pocket. So I think that would be huge.
I don't take on the questions about pitching at all, but last time we heard Burns possibly an inning or two possibly against Stanford this next week. Any progression for his development and his return?
I think Tommy got off the mound yesterday and felt pretty good and is, for all intents and purposes, ramping up. I don't think we're going to have him for Stanford, but it's more likely the following weekend, maybe just to get his feet wet again, and then hopefully have him for the tournament.
Thanks, Will.